on vacation. I'm on family day and snow day. Besides, I'm supposed to be outside right now. So I wanted to join you just for a few minutes because it is so important what everyone is doing to teach and encourage others to read. There's so many great books out there for all levels. And I encourage everyone to use a mixture of classics and high interest titles. One other point I want to make is that if a student of any age or stage wants to read something, I don't worry about the level at all. I can scaffold, I can make sure that the student can access the printed word. It's very important that we listen to children and their interests. So I'm terribly troubled about level books anyway, because then we get stuck. Same thing with grouping. We put kids in a group and think that they'll stay in that group, but that's not true. We need to do flexible grouping and move kids all the time based on skills they know and skills they don't know. So
Okay, Rita,
what,
let's get started.
go ahead. I'm
Are you
sorry.
ready? We'll go live. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, you can just show the title of your book and we'll read something quick. Okay, let's get started. What are you reading, guys? So let's start with Rita.
What am I reading? Well,
Show your
I'm
book.
reading right now. Let's go back to this one, Last Stop on Market Street. I love this story because it's about hope and about not getting everything that we want, and what the real meaning of life is. It's a great book for life lessons for little children on up. So that's one of my favorite books.
Katin,
Last Stop on Market Street.
Hi,
what are
good
you reading?
evening.
I love
Okay,
that.
this is
I've blogged about that.
my Toy Land.
I don't know that story.
Yeah.
Maria? Yeah, good. So this is my book. It's by Charles Dickens, Bleak House.
Oh, wow. I went to Charles Dickens' house many years ago, literally when I was on an English teacher study tour of England. So that was really fun. But I didn't read Bleak House. I never read that.
So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the reading online conference. I am super excited to welcome all these great educators from USA, Croatia, Egypt, and Tunisia. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. So the focus of this conference is reading. We have chosen reading because reading is important for us all, and we must teach our students how to read effectively in order to be better language learners. So welcome Fatin, Maria, and Rita, and Noah.
Welcome. Good evening, everyone.
Well,
Merry Christmas for our friends and Happy New Year for everyone. And thank you, Aziz and everyone Academy for this great conference.
For those of you who are watching us virtually, you can share your comments, questions, or your takeaways about the webinars. So we are focusing on reading. So we did 3 workshops with Rita on reading. We also we had a webinar with Debbie on literacy and dyslexia, and another
great.
one with Stephen Krashen called The Case for Fiction. So feel free to choose one of these webinars and to write your takeaways in the comment section, or maybe to ask questions. What was good? What was not good? What ideas you would like to implement in your classroom? What challenges you might face in this regard? So before we get started, I just want to say that we will focus a lot on reading in the coming webinars. And I want to share with you that we have a session coming with Krushen very soon about reading. So this is the power of self-selected pleasure reading,
Wonderful.
which will be very soon. And we also have another session with two amazing educators, Ivan and
Laura.
Barbara.
Bob.
Yes, so, great speakers indeed.
Yes.
Uh, so it is also coming up soon.
I'm so thrilled that
So
you're able
creating
to do it.
schools for readers.
Great.
So also another session will be with two amazing educators from the USA about reading and writing. So we have Jade and Paul coming up.
The Dennisons are the originators of Brain Gym, and
Yes,
I was so thrilled that they accepted my invitation on behalf of Aziz and the Everyone Academy. They're tremendous people. I took 2 levels of training, and I used Brain Gym for years, and I still do. It's the kinesiology, the movement.
yes.
It's going to be so helpful, and it's very helpful for reading. The cross lateral movements are tremendously helpful as we teach children to read.
So you
Yes,
mean
please.
it's like with physical movement, it is
Yes.
like together? Wow.
Yes, well, they'll teach you lazy eights and crossing the midline of the body. They're the experts. The Brain Gym Teacher's Manual, of course, I recommend for everybody. But what they do is understanding the physical piece and how it goes into reading. It's just amazing. It's going to be extraordinary. So I was really
Yes,
happy when they said yes. The
we
Robs,
will have this session very soon. As I said, we will focus on reading because it's extremely important, and also because if we master this skill and we teach it to our students, I'm sure they will have no problem in the other skills like writing and speaking and the other
reading.
language skills.
Yes, reading goes into all subjects. We should be integrating reading in math and reading in science and reading in social studies. Reading is everywhere. And that's why we say first we learn to read, then we read to learn, but then we learn to read better and faster, as Aziz and I did in our 3rd session.
Over to you, Rita. So
Yes.
you can do a little quick introduction about the
Well,
theme of the conference, the objectives, and then we will give the floor to Fatin to share her presentation. And
I'm going to take about 1 minute, and then I do need excuse me, I am on a slow day. I can't even talk. Meh. Okay. Yes, I'm Rita Wirtz in Eugene, Oregon, and I have been teaching reading for, geez, over 50 years now. I can't believe it now that I even said that. So in any event, I did a session for Aziz and the Everyone Academy on teaching word recognition through stories. And that led to me asking Aziz if he would co-teach. And 1 session became 2 and 2 became 3. So we did a session on building and boosting children's vocabulary, a session on building comprehension, and 1 on reading faster and better, because you can always read faster and better. So it's my belief that everyone has to be a reading teacher. There's no one reading program, in my opinion, that works for all children. All children learn best differently. So we want to focus on the fact that teachers need to know the basic skills, the fundamentals of teaching reading. All of us need to know the fundamental skills, because then we will be able to help all students read faster and better. So that's really where I come from. I'm terribly troubled about the pendulum swing right now, where all of a sudden this reading program isn't good anymore, and this one isn't good anymore, and we're reinventing the wheel as we go. But the bottom line is skills remain the same. A blend is always a blend. A digraph is always a digraph. Doesn't matter the reading programs. It's knowing what the skills are. So I encourage all teachers, all family members who work in any way with a student to know what the fundamental skills are, and especially what Peg will reinforce again today, that we have skills that we do before we start to read, skills that we use while we're reading, and skills after to make sure the reading's stuck. So part of the sessions today are to talk about what the teachers learned and experienced in our earlier sessions, and how did it transfer? Did the teachers get to use those strategies to teach those basic skills right in the classroom? And it would be preschool all the way up through adult ed and second language learning. Reading is reading. So I'm thrilled that I got to pop in. I didn't think that I would. And I'm so excited for all that you're all doing, and I'll be checking later let's use correct English reading. I will be checking in later to see how it all went today. And I send you just my love and my admiration that the day after Christmas that people are tuning in, and I'm sure more will later. So blessings to everybody. Have a wonderful time. Aziz actually has a formal introduction that I did thinking I wouldn't even be able to stop in. Didn't even know if we'd have power. So have a great session, everybody, and just my love to you, and I'll see you again.
Thank you, Rita.
Bye.
Thank you. So we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
So Fatin, can you share your presentation, and then we can discuss takeaways? Thank you.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes. Sure.
Presenter's view, right? Once again, you need that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, can you again demonstrate the screen and then choose the screen?
Okay.
Mm. Oh, yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
So you have 15 minutes, Fatin.
Okay, thank you so much, Aziz. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon everywhere. So I'm very glad and honored to be here with you tonight as a teacher and as an ambassador and as a lover for books. So I'm trying here to present something that I love so much. It was a webinar. So let's start here. Amplifying teachers' voices, opportunities, and challenges. Okay. So this is for who don't know me. So my name is Mrs. Fatin Abdel Malik, and I am Tunisian. I'm teaching English language in primary school, Abdelmajid Bouchamawi. It is south of Tunisia in Gabes, and I'm a teacher with 12 years experience. I hold a British literature degree from ESL Gabes, and I have designed materials and teach my own classes with a special interest in building resilience during emergency teaching. I've been chosen as the adult teacher in Gabes in 2021, and I'm the Tunisian coordinator of many Facebook groups and international projects as the Healthy Smiles Through Words, and I'm the ambassador of my lovely everyone academy also in Tunisia. So this is my the webinar, Teaching Reading Through Stories. It was by Rita Words, and I will tell you why I fell in love with this webinar. This is our great Rita. So, more about this webinar. So the main reason here behind my choice, and it was not easy to choose just one webinar to talk about it, because every hour webinars in every one academy was excellent, amazing, and very special, and I love them all, and believe me, I have to see it and watch it again and again. So the main reason behind my choice of this webinar is that as an ESL teacher, I'm eager to learn how can I teach young learners using books and stories. I have to mention here that I am a teacher in primary schools, and in our Tunisian primary schools, our kids start learning English in the 4th grade, 5th and 6th grade. So it is about 9, 10 and 11 years old. Using stories and books, it's very challenging thing. So in reality, teachers don't see themselves as storytellers, and this is one of our challenges here, because as a teacher we need to be connected to our inner artist and our inner storyteller. All of us, we have this potential to tell stories, because it's all about us. It's all everywhere. Stories are everywhere, believe me. So they see the occasional storyteller and think it is a theatrical, exaggerated show. Maybe that's why. I'm trying to think here about why teachers don't try to use books and stories in classrooms, especially with young learners. So, but hang on a minute here. Being a teacher definitely involves acting and theatrics. So we are using our talents and our skills and our even qualities without knowing that we are really storytellers. Okay, so that's why we have to move here to teaching English through stories, a meaningful and fun way for children to learn the language. I think here teaching English language for young learners, especially for the first year, it is not easy, because they are here dealing with their second language, and in Tunisia it is our third language, and it is just like a club. We have no exams in the 4th and even in the 5th grade, so it's just for fun. We have to think about captivating our students to come and to love the English language. Then they have to develop their skills, and being in the 6th grade they can have even a national exam. So the use of storytelling in the language in the second language classroom creates a good learning environment and provides meaningful and comprehensible input. Through stories, the language acquisition device is activated, and it is easy for children to induce the language elements from the data provided by the stories. So here, I think that books are our, let's say, our source to, it helps us to teach language. It is like a well of vocabulary, grammar, imagination. Everything is here. Everything is in books. So like this, stories, just simple stories that you can teach your young learners how to think about colors, animals,
Fatin, have you stopped sharing? Or
Fatin, you're muted.
oh, okay. So share again.
Okay. Thank you, Nuha. So,
That's why we have Nuha here.
yes, thank you. So, stories are effective as educational tools because they are believable, memorable, and entertaining. All of us, we have our grandma or our grandpa uh, who used to tell us stories, and that's why we cannot forget about even the smell of the coffee or the tea cup of tea of our grandma or our grandpa, why they are trying to tell us stories and folks here. So sure, kids need to know some phonics and sight words, but they also need to develop a love of reading and books. This is the main point here. How can I teach my students and my kids to love reading and love books? So the good news is that by reading for kids, the battle is half won. So as a teacher, if I read for my students, and as a parent, if I read for my kids during our story time or bedtime stories, it helps them to listen and to think about the book and the stories. So, how this webinar has affected my work and my professional development, it is a big question, and to be honest, I don't rely on just speaking the story. So I'm talking here about me as a teacher. I don't sit still in a chair, and I talk slowly with alternating rhythm. I walk around, I use my hands a lot, and most importantly, I invited children from the audience to act out the story as I tell it, and they dress up in funny hats and other props, masks maybe, and they follow the instructions in the story, and they repeat the dialogue I say. I stop and start the story a lot. I use here the silent moments for more drama. I ask the audience or my students here to contribute sound effects like the sound of wind, sound of a duck, or sound of clapping, or sound of maybe something here crazy, the sound of the moon whispering good wishes for you before going to sleep. So to answer also questions and to make suggestions, students here need to not just to listen to a story, but I want them to have this skill of retelling the story and using their imaginations. Okay, let's write, so for example, let's write a letter for our favorite character in this story. Let's try to give this character or the hero of this story, to give them some let's say advices, or let's try to draw them, or many activities that will help them to fall in love with the books. So here, tips for teachers, maybe something here from my classroom, and I'm using the wheel of names. It can be in here is the link, sorry. Okay, and I can here use also my hands, so let's use our hands. Here we have what, when, where, why, who. Here we have the problem in the palm. You can write even the problem, what happened here. Okay, use your hands. It's something very easy for them and for you. You can use your hands to say, okay, this is where places in our stories. Here, who are the characters, when, the time, of our stories and what's the problem and the end, and here the main ideas. Maybe you can here develop their skills, and they try to use their bodies and even to write on the hands of each others, not on my hand. Try to have an activity or peer activity here with each others. Something else here, we have engaging our students by dramatizing the story after it is like here a post-reading stage, so they can dramatize it using puppets, using finger puppets, using something like this in this picture. Also, I like the big books. Kids and young learners like big books and interesting images and colors, and here we are trying to captivate their attentions and maybe seduce them to come here and try to see what's this and how is the quality of even the paper and the colors using here in the books. It can be very helpful for them, so choose big and interesting story. Strategies: the role of the pictures in combination with the text to the form here to form the story as a whole should be considered. So even here we have, for my students, maybe in their first steps in learning English, maybe here we have just, I don't know if it is good here, so we have big pictures and we have maybe 2 or 3 lines. It's very interesting because students here, we have to think about their stages of learning and about their capacities here for listening to you, and they are visual learners. We have visual learners who like colors, and they can memorize the story using pictures, not just by listening to you. Teachers followed 3 stages here for reading the story. A pre-reading stage, and we have many activities to prepare our students before reading. Maybe something very easy here, like trying to, like this. Okay, slowly think about who is our here, our hero, who is our character, what is our new book for today. Try to captivate them using simple activities and enjoyable. So, and then we have the while reading stage. So just I'm trying here to say, okay, I'm reading the story, but my students also, they can be engaged with me by making them a part of this story. Okay, I need who help me. I need the sound of the dog, so my students will imitate the sound of a dog or a sound of a horse. Or let's turn. Who can turn? Who can jump and tell me how the rabbit can hop in this story? So here I'm using my students to be engaged more and more in telling the story. The post-reading stage, I like here the dramatization and the drawing of story, and also many activities that are very interesting. Maybe even changing the story into a song, or write the story and become a piece of drama, and try to do it as a team in the classroom. So these stages allow teachers to prepare children for reading the story and checking comprehension. So I have to check their comprehension. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? So try to ask them a lot of questions in the right time. not arbitrary, so they can check their comprehension. So watch professional storytellers, and this is the best maybe strategy for me. Try to watch professional storytellers and take notes about how they do it. It's very interesting to see experts trying to tell stories, especially in the Facebook now and in many groups. We have storytellers like in the Hands Up project, like many the Cafe of Storytellers, and they have great talents. And I want to watch them to take notes about how they do it, how they can use the Zoom, or how can they use even sounds, my rhythm, my tone, my tempo of telling the story, my hands, my eyes, my body, my TPR here. I mean here the total physical responses, and every storyteller is different, even in your custom, even in your way of telling the story. Just be dynamic, be active, use the space, use your body, use things around you, realia, maybe use also even the outside of your classroom. You can take your students and sit under a tree and tell them the story. It's very easy, and here I think it was all about Rita's webinar that we can teach everywhere. It is very easy, and it's very captivating, and it's very interesting. So you can learn something from them all, and we are here sharing our experiences just to learn from each others, and to be skilled teachers. It is hard, but it is very interesting, and it's very enjoyable for us. So let's move to my favorite Rita's quotes. By the way, I watched the webinar maybe 12 times. So to be honest, yes, maybe 12 times, because it's very interesting to think about every word, and you can reshape our strategies, our techniques, and think about how can I develop my skills again. And okay, this is my duty, this is my mission. I'm a teacher, and I have to learn every day to for the benefits of my students. So one of my favorite Rita's quotes here: sounds make letters, and letters make words. So I have to think about sounds, and my students need to be aware of sounds, not just letters. We have this confusion between letters and sounds, even especially when we are teaching English as a third language. So let's say A, we have a. Okay, let's start with B. Let's start with B, A, T. Okay, so let's blending it. So my students, I'm trying with them to be aware of sounds and blending, and it's very interesting, and believe me, they love it. Okay, because I want them to be aware that the alphabet, we have three things. We have three axes. We have the shape of the letter. We have how we can write it, and we have the sound, and we have the name of it. Okay, so A, B, C, D, or sound, and how can I write it. So stories are everywhere. We can fall in love with characters. We can see places and smell everything. I like this. And Rita is great how she can captivate us with this quote. I like it. So we can teach everywhere. Yes, we can do it, even with the minimal of our resources. We don't have high technologies here in our classrooms, okay, but we have great talents, we have great teachers, we have great students, and we have this desire to, and this I think a strong will to teach English in a good atmosphere. So make everything simple. Old ways are effective. Yes, because I think we like technologies. It makes everything easy and interesting. Maybe yes, of course, but even papers and crayons, chalk and chalk, and let's paste and cut and using our hands. Old ways and old things. It's very interesting for us. Okay, so it makes everything possible. Uh, Here we have a letter can make a huge difference. This is the example in the webinar. I want you to try to watch it again, and you will be surprised how you can use just a small maybe a simple, let's say a simple activity, and your students will be able to make this huge difference using the magic E. So start by teaching general rules also. Here it's very nice, and teach consonant sound, then a vowel. Okay, here we are talking about the blending sounds, and I think it's very good. I want you, just my colleagues, to try to go back to this webinar and watch it. You will be very I think satisfied after watching it, believe me. And thank you so much for watching me, and thank you for Everyone Academy for this great conference. Thank you.
Great work.
Hope so.
A little
Thank you.
applause. A little applause for Fatin.
Thank you.
Good,
Thank you so
good
much,
work.
Aziz. Thank you. Thank you for
Can you hear the
you.
sound?
That's great.
My dear friends. Thank you.
Perfect, Fatin. Well done, sorry.
Thank you, Noha. Thank you.
Yeah, it was so inspirational. It was so resourceful, you know, I really enjoyed it. And you know what? It also made me remember my favorite teacher at musical school. It's very unusual, I would say. And you know, she was so in love with her subject. She was teaching music literature, and she was telling us stories about Mozart and I don't know, all these musicians, not by the book even, you know, but like these characters were so alive and so on. She encouraged us with her passion and so on, not just like to read in the book, you know, but to read more and so on. So she was like so inspirational. I till now it just like made me remember, you know. When you were talking
Great.
about this, yeah.
Great.
So,
Yes. Thank you so much.
I extend my greetings to all the teachers in Tunisia who are watching us. So you brought
Yes,
a
of
lot of
course.
supporters with you tonight, Fatin. This is good.
Hi to all my colleagues and my students and their parents and my lovely school. Sending love for everyone. Thank you so much, and
So,
for
so,
my
so
family.
Fatin is actually teaching kids, but
Yes.
some people think that teaching kids is a piece of cake, but it's not. It's
Oh,
challenging, especially
yes.
if they are out of control and crying all the time.
No, my students are not doing this. They are, no, they are amazing. Maybe because I think that 1 hour of teaching English, it is 1 hour of happiness. Okay, so let's just be set your wings free and let's learn together and enjoy our moments. And I want them just to love books and to love English language. Then they will do everything by themselves.
So you talked about three reading stages. We know that those popular reading stages: pre and while and after reading. So we will have a short, we'll have a webinar on those reading with Pig from the United States in 2 minutes. And before we leave, Fatin, what do you have like a lesson plan or some strategy for implementing those ideas in your classroom?
Yes, of course. We have a lesson plan, and it depends. Maybe I think it depends on lesson plan. It is something not for everyone. It can be useful for me and with my students, but it is not good for Maria, for example. So it depends on our. Hi, Peg.
Hello.
Hello, dear. Good evening. How are you? Merry
I'm fine, thank
Christmas.
you. Thank you.
Nice to see you here. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. So I'm trying here to say that the lesson plan, it depends. Maybe I have to change it during my lesson because I think
I
it
do
is.
this a lot.
Yes. It is not something. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. No, it can be very changeable because my students can have another idea. I can have a good maybe activity, but the time it's not good and it's not enough for me, so I have to change everything. And believe me, sometimes I feel it like an inspiration. So the lesson plan here, it depends on you. Just we have the pre, while, and the post stages. Okay, it's like a silhouette, and we have to maintain it. And then the activities you can every time I have to learn something new, especially songs and games, because students, young learners especially, they feel boring very easy, and we have to all the time I have to, okay, come here, I have something new for you. So it's like this. Okay. Thank you so much.
That's great. So Maria and Noha, do you have any comments or question for Fatin?
Oh, it was great.
Lovely. Yeah,
My
it's
dear
very,
friend,
as you
thank
said,
you.
Maria, it's
Yeah.
very inspirational.
I
Yeah,
thought you are going to ask her questions.
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas while you're talking. It's great.
she's an
Well
artist,
done.
I really loved,
Amazing.
the approach and like to evoke this inner artist with you, and like with minimal resources, right? You can do amazing things, right? And this is like, wow, it's like amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
So
I
Maria.
already
Thank you.
can go and just like already teach. Go back to, I'm on vacation now, Christmas vacation, but I'm already ready.
Thank you. Thank you.
so thank you so much, Fatin. Another applause for Fatin.
Thank you so much from my heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi Pig, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. So thank you for joining us.
Of course.
We will start your session in a minute. But before we do that, I will give the floor to Pig to introduce herself and talk a little about her background and the other projects that she's doing. So welcome to Everyone Academy one more time.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, my name is Peg Grafwallner, and I am a reading specialist and instructional coach in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is part of the Midwest of the US. And I've been at Milwaukee Public Schools for 8 years. And I work with teachers. So I was an English teacher for nearly 26 years, and 26. And now I'm working with teachers, and I work with them regarding literacy, how to implement literacy in their classrooms without making it one more thing. And I'm in a high school 912. I am an author, a blogger, presenter. So this is very exciting. And I was so thrilled to be asked to be a part of this, because I am a very strong believer that I bristle at the word expert because I really don't know if any of us are. I think we just continually learn from each other. And I think that's what this is all about. I think once you become an expert on anything, you almost feel you don't have to learn anymore. And that's not who we are. We continually learn. As a matter of fact, when I was talking to Aziz this morning, I expressed with him my concern about Zoom. I am not as Zoom savvy as I should be. And he assured me that that was okay, that we will get through this together. And if I have any tech difficulties, everybody will understand. So right there, that will be a learning for me. So again, I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So this is, as we said earlier, this is the purpose of creating this platform. Is that to help teachers learn from each other. And as you said, we are not experts. And even if we are experts, we should be modest and humble. If we are not modest, we will not learn more. We'll stop learning, and we don't want to stop learning. We want to keep learning, until we leave this earth. So as I said, the purpose of this platform is to help teachers collaborate with each other, and also to learn from their experiences, so etc. So Peg, you can share your
Okay.
presentation, and then we can discuss it later.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very sorry. I just it's very late in Ukraine. So thank you so much.
Yes, Maria. Okay, yes, no problem. You can.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm.
See you.
I-
Bye-bye. Thank you, Maria.
Well, we already have issues. I have my presentation and it's not.
Are you able to share?
Let me try it again.
Okay.
This makes me a little nervous because I thought I had my presentation. Okay.
Okay. I think I have your presentation here. I will. Okay, you can open desktop maybe, no?
No, it's not. I don't know what's going.
Okay, I have the presentation and I will send it to. No, can I send you Pig's presentation and you can share it?
Sure.
Of course. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I will share your presentation. I have it.
Okay, because I purposely brought it. All the links and everything should be open in tabs, so I don't know what I did wrong.
No problem. So I have your presentation, the one you shared with me on Google Document. So I will share it with Nuha.
Okay, and I will be honest, I have updated it since, but that's okay.
It's okay. These things happen. Remember, we had a talk about this.
Yeah, we are all struggling with our technical problems. It's okay.
Okay.
Nuha, I shared with you the it's on Google Documents.
You shared it on my.
Yes.
On my email?
Yes.
All right.
I have it here.
Okay. So I'm sorry, am I?
So no, are you able to access it?
Yeah, I'm accessing it now. Just a minute.
Okay, so it will be shared. These things are not are not bad. happens all the time.
Okay.
Don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great. So what I have my notes. So I'm going to be looking at my notes as we go through this. And what I thought we would do is feel free, please, to unmute and have some conversation. So what I thought I would do is go through the PowerPoint, the slideshow. I thought we'd talk about what it means to be a good reader, how prior knowledge plays into that, and then before reading, during reading, and after reading strategies. I do have several links, and I know it is quite late. Thank you so much for being here. So I thought we could put the links in the chat, and that might be something you could perhaps look at later, or if you're interested, I could certainly send you those links if you just want to send me an email or something like that. But why don't we get started and we'll go from there. Very simply, the more we read, the more we learn. Think of any subject you know something about. Maybe someone told you about that topic. You can certainly learn by listening to experts or watching YouTube videos, but eventually you must also read something about the topic. Maybe you read something online, in a book, or in a blog, but to gain more knowledge, you read. Reading fosters student autonomy. This phrase was coined by Henry Holleck. According to Holleck, autonomy is the ability to take charge of one's own learning. Think about that. How can reading give students a chance to take control of their learning? As a good reader, I can make choices in my reading. As a good reader, I can become a critical thinker. As a good reader, I can use my reading skills to make purposeful and worthwhile decisions, thereby coming to sensible conclusions. Finally, why is it important to become a good reader? Reading creates power. Reading supports equality, equity, and social justice. An equitable society is one in which all participate and prosper. The goals of equity must be to create conditions to allow all to reach their full potential. As a good reader, I am able to determine truth and become a valued and active member of a global society. As a good reader, I can become a global citizen who collaborates with those from around the world to create a society that is better for all of us. Let's take a look at prior knowledge. Thank you. Let's define prior knowledge first, just to be sure. Prior knowledge is what students already know from academic, personal, and cultural experience. They can connect it to new topics. So we've got three things going here. We talked about what it means to be a good reader. Now, how does prior knowledge play into that? Before providing any kind of background knowledge, I have to measure the level of prior knowledge my students have in a topic. So this can be accomplished by asking questions. What do my students already know about a topic? Writing comments on the board, writing topics on the board, and having students, again, discuss it with their peers, discuss it with other classmates. What do you know about this topic? What do I know? And sharing that experience, sharing that information. Recent research shows that reading comprehension, deep thinking, and even creativity all rely on prior knowledge. And remember, reading comprehension, deep thinking, that comes from being a good reader. Prior knowledge gives all of us a chance to build connections on what we already know and what we are about to learn. Students relate the written word to their previous experiences to make reading more personal, helping them to both understand and remember what they have read. Some experts believe, and I know what we said about experts, so let's say this. Some recent research has showed us that activating prior knowledge is probably one of the most important aspects of being a good reader. And finally, prior knowledge makes words relevant. As an example, pre-teaching vocabulary helps our students build a bridge to their prior knowledge. What words do our students already know? In what context have they learned those words? Having these important conversations about vocabulary supports our students in continuing to connect their prior knowledge to those new concepts. Let's take a look at the next slide, how to build prior knowledge. I want to talk a little bit about this, but then I'd like to hear from those of you about how you help your students build prior knowledge. So let me just give some ideas. What are some ways that we can help our students build prior knowledge? Well, first of all, we can offer students a wide variety of texts, giving students a literacy-rich opportunity. Books, novels, trade books, graphic novels, poetry, newspapers, online blogs. All those experiences with text help our students build their knowledge and add to what they already know. Give students a chance to lead the classroom. I know the situation we're in right now, and I get that. But what about maybe figuratively leaving the classroom? Think about it. Field trips offer our students opportunities they may not get from their home environment. So as an example, when teaching literature, is it possible to take a virtual tour of the author's home and region? As an example, when I taught Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, my students would take an online tour of the Globe Theater. This gave them a chance to see what Shakespeare's Globe Theater looked like, but it also gave them a chance to add to their prior knowledge of theater spaces in general. If students are able to take field trips, even to the neighborhood park, to tour with a park attendant or someone with some knowledge who can share what they know about the park, our students are building their prior knowledge. As an example, our environmental science teacher, he will often take his students to our neighborhood park to collect water samples. They meet with a faculty member from a nearby college who shares her knowledge of water chemistry. These experiences all help our students with their prior knowledge. Finally, encourage our students to join clubs, sports, or any extracurriculars to gain new perspectives, understand others' perceptions, and respectfully acknowledge differences. Building prior knowledge gives us a chance to be much more empathetic and tolerant of each other and the world around us, something I think that most of us will agree is lacking today. So before I go on to strategies, I'd like to stop here. What are some ways that you build prior knowledge in your classroom? What are some ways that you help students in sharing what they already know? Anybody want to offer some ideas?
Well, I
Sure.
might relate to the places and locations, but I don't have the leisure of taking my students to field trips. But I try to first try to talk to them, even if it's not in English, to tell me about some places that they have visited, they have seen in any way. And we discuss this for a few minutes before we go ahead and tackle the topic, our reading.
And don't you love it too, where you'll start, a student will share and then another student will make a connection. oh, that reminds me of, or, I did that. And right away you have that conversation going amongst.
Yeah, they get very excited and they
Right.
get very interested in the topic, and it's really a great time we spend together, connecting and communicating.
They have that commonality, right? That common knowledge, which is so great in a classroom to see. Absolutely. Anyone else or any other ideas?
Are you talking about the pre-reading stage?
Just building prior knowledge right now, just giving students a chance to share what they know.
Yes, maybe we can get them to talk about a picture or show them a short video about something. Maybe we can mute the video and show them just the pictures to see.
Absolutely. And all of that, in looking at those visuals and sharing those pictures and sharing what they see, all of that not only builds that prior knowledge, but think about it then. If a student is really interested in learning more, they're going to research, they're going to read about it. And again, building and becoming a better reader. So let's take a look at our strategies here now. We have before reading strategies, thank you, during reading strategies, and after reading strategies. So as students are building their prior knowledge, they are becoming better readers and using these very specific strategies to enhance their skill building. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd go through each one and then share the link, talk a little bit about the link, what that looks like. And again, stop and please feel free to interject or share any kind of comments, or if you'd like more information on something, that would be great too. So let's go ahead and start with before reading strategies. And even before we dive into this, does anybody want to share? As you can see, I've got 7 examples and I have three specific links to share with you, but does anyone want to start with maybe how they share some, or how they teach pre-reading strategies, or what kind of pre-reading strategies they might use in their classroom?
I usually use the title. I show just the title of the topic.
Yes.
And get students to guess what's going to be, or how are we going to proceed.
And I think that's so important. I have that, as you can see, number 5, previewing that text. And I've got a link on a previewing text scavenger hunt. So I'll share that with you. That might be something you might be interested in using in your classroom. So
I like to pre-teach some key vocabulary items maybe in the text, to get them familiar with the text, etc., before they do the actual reading.
And what I like to do is, you can see number 6, and we'll talk about this too, and that kind of goes along with your vocabulary, is I will often say to students, look at the questions that are offered throughout the text. Look at the questions maybe that are offered maybe at the end of the chapter or something like that. Those questions will a lot of times give us clues into what students are about to read. And it's the same way with the vocabulary. When the vocabulary is bolded, or when you see it in the margins of the text, pay attention to that vocabulary, right? That tells us a lot about what is coming. So let's go through these together. So first of all, in reading, we must establish a purpose. What is the reason students are going to read this particular piece of text? Are they looking for a specific answer to a question? Are they reading to further their knowledge? What is the point of the reading? Without that purpose, students really can become very bored and quite frustrated. And I often think sometimes in my work with teachers, and I'm sure you have seen this too, when you see students start to fidget or students become frustrated, I seldom think it's because they don't get it. I think it's because things haven't been structured. The reading hasn't been purposeful. It hasn't been worth their while. So how can we establish these pre-reading strategies So students are engaged and motivated. Let's take a look at number 2. Why is the author writing about this topic? What is the author's purpose? Is it to inform? Is it to persuade? Is it to teach? Is it to entertain? In determining why, the reader is more engaged in reading and more motivated to read. And remember, as a result of that, becomes again a stronger reader. And in some of these pre-reading strategies, Aziz, you had given the example of vocabulary. Think about that prior knowledge. If students have some connection maybe to some of those words, that prior knowledge kicks in, and again, the student becomes more engaged. Give students a chance to review what they know about a topic. One way to review is the link I have here. Now, Aziz, are you able to bring the links up? Should I share those later? What would be the way to go here?
You have the link? You can share it. You can send it to me on Gmail and can.
On the chat, you can send it to the chat directly, right?
Okay.
Yes, you can
That
send
will
it.
be
to the chat.
faster, yeah.
Yes.
I guess since you're, okay. Guess I'm not quite sure how to even ask the question.
Take your time, no problem.
I don't know. I guess what I'm wondering is, I don't know how to get to those links from my screen. I'm afraid if I hit buttons, I'm just gonna lose you.
So be careful.
I think you're blocking the mic. Big, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
give me a second. Oh, shoot. Wow, sorry about that. That's my link. I apologize. I might have to share these links later. Otherwise, we're going to be here until 3 o'clock in the morning. Review what you know about the topic. So I went ahead and sent you, it's called word storming for anticipated content. Basically what it is a chart and it has the alphabet on it. And if you take a look and open it up, you will notice that it's just a series of boxes. So one of the ways I use this is, let's say if I'm about to read some new text, and I'll say to students, well, tell me what you know about that already. And a student will say, well, I know this about the topic. So let me give you an example. Let's take Romeo and Juliet again. I might say something like, well, tell me, what was the name of Shakespeare's theater? Does anybody know? And somebody might say it's the Globe Theater. We would all write Globe Theater in the G box. I might say, what else do you know about Shakespeare? Well, I know he lived a long time ago. Okay, so old, dead? I think he's dead. Okay, so we'd go to the D box and write that. Can you tell me anything else about Shakespeare? I know he wrote sonnets. Okay, let's go to the S's and write the word sonnet. So again, it's a way to fill up these boxes. Otherwise, sometimes if you say to students, what do you know about a topic? They're likely to say nothing, not much. But once you get them talking, and this is what was mentioned earlier, once you get them talking, we find out they really do know quite a bit. And this is a way to share what they know. It's called word storming. Number 4, what do you want to know about the topic? What do we want our students to learn about the topic? Again, by giving them choices, they're much more interested in diving deep into the topic and sharing that knowledge with their peers, their teacher, and the community. Number 5, a pre-reading strategy is to preview text. And this was mentioned earlier. The graphs, the charts, the bolded words. Students get a visual of what they will be reading. These text features are critical in providing background on what the reading will be about. The text feature scavenger hunt gives students a chance to slow down, preview the text, and learn what they will soon be reading and learning. Now, Aziz, I have to stop and ask you a question. Would you like me to try and find the link, or is that something we share with our audience later? And the only reason I ask is because I apologize. I did bring everything up earlier. I don't know where it is, and I'm a little concerned about losing you. What would be the best way to handle this?
Are you talking about the link that you just shared, the word storming to anticipate
Well,
content?
I have a link for number 5. It's called preview text. Would you like me to try and share that one in the chat, or would you like
Yes, sure. Yes, go ahead. Yes, you can
Okay,
do it.
well, then be patient. Once again, still learning how to do this. I will try and figure it out.
You can copy it and paste it in the chat. You don't
Yep.
have to type it. If it's on a document or something.
Well, I understand that. Thank you so much.
You closed your camera.
Right. And that's why it's taking so long. Thank you. So this is an example. This particular way to preview text, number 5, it's called a scavenger hunt, and it's what I just shared now. And it's got the bolded text, and it gives students a chance. Thank you. It gives students a chance to try and find the bold print or the colored print or the glossary, and it gives them a chance. Aziz, should I go? The host has asked me to start my video. Do I press the button?
Yes, because we can see you. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. So it's a way, once again, to get those text features in pre-reading, so students have a chance to really peruse the text and see what it's all about before they even start reading. And this is something I think that students could do as a group that I think would be actually quite enjoyable and pretty engaging. Let's talk about predicting content. That would be number 6. Predicting content and posing questions, thank you, and reading the discussion questions support students in taking the anxiety out of what they are about to read. And think about it, sometimes our students, when they see text in front of them or some short story or something like that, they might get very nervous and anxiety ridden. How will I get through this? This looks so long. I don't know if I'll understand it or not. And all these pre-reading strategies really help them build their confidence level, their mental muscle of, yes, I can do this. In predicting what students will be reading, they engage in discussion and wonder. That alone will encourage students to want to read. By posing questions, students are able to partake in deep thinking, that curiosity about what might come next. Earlier, we talked about previewing text. Number 5, as students look at the various text features in the book, ask them what questions they might have about that graph or chart or graphic. Give students a chance to brainstorm and share their thinking. Also, I always recommend students read the end of the chapter questions first. By reading those questions, students are able to get a fairly good idea of what the reading will be about and also provide a lens into the purpose of the text. And finally, take notes. As students are about to read, the value of taking notes. And what I had done with students in note taking is give them different choices in their notes, maybe 2-column notes, concept, mind mapping, a concept map, something like that. So students can take notes in what is more comfortable for them, as opposed to saying, okay, everybody's going to take notes this way. Students might have very specific ways that work for them. And again, that helps with those pre-reading strategies. So any questions or comments so far?
Why it was called a hunt?
Pardon me?
I'm talking about the second activity, scavenger hunt.
The scavenger hunt, right. That one was number 5, and it was the last link I shared.
The text features. So we have the title
Yeah.
of the text, page number.
And
yes.
Yep, that one right there. That would be the scavenger hunt, the text feature scavenger hunt. And that I think would be really, again, quite worthwhile. I think that could be an interesting way to get students talking and really having them preview that text before they would start to read.
I see that this document was created by the school, right?
It was. The document was created by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. And it is it's a website in Wisconsin, and our Department of Public Instruction oversees education in the state of Wisconsin. It was created by them. Absolutely, and it's certainly available to be shared.
Yes, it's very interesting, really.
Yes, I was gonna say, it's yours.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at during reading. Thank you. One thing I want to say about during reading strategies that is so important is annotation. And when I talk about annotation, we want our students to annotate for questions, comments, and vocabulary, and that's it. So as students are reading that text, what are some questions that they can come up with as they're reading? What are some comments they can make as they're reading? The vocabulary, if they can't figure it out from context, can they circle those vocabulary words and make that some great discussion later? So as students are reading, one way to slow down that reading and really develop that deep thinking is to have them annotate what they're reading. During reading, students can check their predictions. Let's talk about number 2. So remember, in pre-reading, we had students predict, what are they going to read? What is it about? Well, now they can start answering or checking those predictions and see if they were right. Again, this gives students a chance to slow down in their reading, make personal meaning from the text, and make connections. Number 3, and Aziz, this is what you brought up earlier. I always encourage students to annotate during reading by marking those vocabulary words. Students can use context clues to infer what the words mean and talk with each other about meaning from those words. Also, as students work toward determining meaning, they're also critically thinking about the relationship of those words to the main idea. These skills, annotation, inference, relationships, are all immensely valuable in helping our students not only become good readers, but connect their prior knowledge. So hopefully you're seeing how all of this ties in. To become a good reader, I need to have some prior knowledge, and I need these pre-reading, during reading, and after reading strategies to really help me make meaning. So I'm hoping you see the connection. Let's go on to after reading, and I'm going to pause here. Would anybody like to share some of their during reading strategies before we move on, or make any comments or questions about during reading strategies that you might use in your classroom?
Neva or Fatin?
Well, usually during stories, I like to stop from time to time and I ask students about what they think about what the character did or what happened or what would they do in this situation or how do they think about. You see, I try to make them think a little bit and involve them in the story.
And I
You
love I love the way you said, you try, you want your students to, what would you do in this situation, right? How would you feel if this were you? I think that's so critical to ask our students to become that character. The character in the story made this decision. Would you have made that decision? Absolutely. I think that's so valuable.
Latin?
Yeah, amazing. So I'm trying here to think about after reading strategies. Uh,
No,
Today I ask.
you're reading.
Yeah, during. Yes, okay. So I ask my students just to draw and to use any materials they feel free with it and try to draw maybe even on the walls. Why not? And use their hands, their imaginations. They can summarize the stories or try to feel which parts they love it or they hate it maybe, and they can translate it into drawings or pictures or even into letters. Why not? They can write letters to.
Visualization.
Yes, yes, and even songs. They can write lyrics and they make it maybe rhythmic. They can use their hands. They can stamp. They can clap. They can use their voices, songs, and be just. I want them to be connected with characters and connected with their inner imaginations here.
Yes.
And I have to tell you what was so valuable. I love what you said when you had mentioned, tell me why you love it or tell me why you hate it. And isn't that as valuable, getting our students to talk about that literature? Okay, so you read the story, you didn't like it. Tell me why you didn't like it. That is so important. So thank you for sharing that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Maybe I remember here one of my students last year, after reading the story of Lily and the Wolf, he asked me why I had to hate the wolf. Maybe he was the victim. Why Lily should go alone into the forest? She is not obedient to her mom. So maybe the victim is the wolf. I was surprised and shocked because he has his own critical thinking and he wants to just to try to be free to love or hate or I don't like the word hate, but maybe he tries to be disconnected with this character.
Well, I really appreciate that, because I think what's so great about that line of thinking is the student took something that's traditional, disliking the wolf, and said, now, wait a minute, let's look at this a different way, a different perspective, a different perception. And isn't that what we're always trying to show our students? A different perspective, a different perspective, perception. Look at this in a different way. And that's exactly what that student was doing. He was looking at it in a different way. And as you said, using those critical thinking skills to almost argue his point, right?
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah, good. We will be surprised if we give them the opportunity to talk and to raise their voices. We need them to talk and we need them to discuss between each others even. So it's a great
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
I really like that, again, that different perspective. Let's talk about after reading. And this is what we've talked about too. When the reading is done, summarizing the text in a student's own words. That might be an outline, that might be a concept map. I love when you said having students write letters. I really like that. Imagine after a student has read a story or has read anything, they write a letter to the character. I think that would be, again, a really different way of looking at it. After reading, give students a chance to summarize. Give them time to write about what they have read, pose questions about what they have read, and create an outline or, like I said, a concept map. By giving students a choice on how they want to share their thinking with you, they'll be far more motivated to make meaning, far more motivated to read, and far more motivated to share what they have learned. Let's talk about talking to a peer, getting students talking after they have finished reading. When students are able to talk to their peers about what they have read, they are building upon their prior knowledge with the help and support of their classmates. Imagine if our students had the luxury of processing their thoughts without a time limit or without a grade. What would it be like if students could just talk through an idea or share an observation or consider a thought without evaluation? What if the person listening is able to give time and space to that thinking process? Would our students assess their own progression? Would they come to their own conclusions? Would their dependability on the right answer become more of an evaluation of possibilities? I mean, just think about that whole opportunity to talk and share those ideas. Talking matters for learning. Although it's possible to think without talking and to talk about much thinking, each can strengthen the other. Talking provides windows into what students are learning. We want schools to be places of rich learning, and we need schools to be places where students can talk. Number 3, identify and reread difficult parts of the text. So after the reading, give students a chance to identify and reread those difficult parts of the text. Give them the processing time to utilize productive struggle to make meaning out of what they have, out of what they read, and where they're stuck to share that with you, to have that discussion, that whole class discussion. I read this paragraph and I just really don't get it. Could someone help me with that? And again, those after reading strategies of talking about what you have read. Finally, as students were reading, they were annotating and they were keeping track of their vocabulary, those unfamiliar words. Now, if students are still struggling with them, put them in small groups to help them figure out what those words mean, why those words are important, and again, what kind of connections they can make with that vocabulary, how it relates back to the relationship of the main idea and the theme. So pausing here briefly, after reading strategies, I gave a few. Is there an after reading strategy that you use in your classroom that you've been successful with, or something that's kind of your go-to strategy?
Usually we try to they act the story out, and they love this part. When I told them to, yeah, they wait for it after reading always.
So they actually, do they take on different parts of the characters and then act it out?
Yeah, they choose their characters. I even often try to change the character if they like, and they come up with wonderful ideas during doing this.
You know what I
That's
think?
the best part of the lesson, actually.
Well, I was going to say, you know what's so great about that is, again, giving them the space and time to do that, right? And how creative. And remember what we said earlier, creativity is tied to being a good reader, is tied to that prior knowledge. So that's wonderful. Oh, I love that idea. I'm taking that back to school, if that's okay. Any other ones, perhaps?
I use this one like especially with adults. I tell them to summarize the text using a graphic organizer.
Yes.
So for example, they put the big idea like above, and then in the middle they put details about each paragraph or examples. So it's funny and easy for them.
Right. and I've done that with my students' disease too. What I have is it's called a magnet summary, and it's exactly what you said. In the middle box is the main idea. Surrounding boxes are the details. And not a lot of boxes, maybe just 4 or 5 surrounding boxes, but there's a main idea, there's the details, and that's your summary. You don't need more than that. Absolutely. Well, last slide, please. And thank you so much. In closing, in becoming a good reader, we need to help our students in developing and growing their prior knowledge by making connections to the text. And that's one thing we talked about, right? Where those connections, and how vital those connections are. Before reading, during reading, and after reading strategies, support our students in making those connections and becoming empathetic, tolerant, and equitable global readers, and most importantly, global citizens that we want our students to be. Please check out my website you see here. Please follow me on Twitter. I have some fun things over here. Some of my books, I'm just gonna hold them up because there you go. Whoopsie. There you go. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. This was a wonderful opportunity. I will technology. Ugh. But thank you so much. This was wonderful. Any questions or comments before we wrap it up?
Yes, thank you so much, Pig. That was really very interesting. Thank you for sharing all these great tips, ideas, techniques, and the different reading materials. We
Well,
learned a lot from you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
staying
you.
with me. I know
Thank
I
you.
know it's late.
Yes, thank you so
It
much.
was great, Beck. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you. I
very
hope-
insightful, and just it's something that we needed as teachers and even as parents. And I have kids, and I want them to love books and using good strategies. So thank you so much for being so generous. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And like I said, please feel free. I'm going to put this in the chat real quick. Pardon my hands. I have to get a new camera. I am out of a camera. But that is my website.
Yes,
And if
I
there's
will.
anything there-
Yes, I will share it in the comment section.
Yep. And everything
you,
on my
Peg.
website is free, so it's all yours.
We will have Pig is also a great author. She has great books. We'll have sessions with her, in the future. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Yes,
Good
bye-bye.
evening. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We need another conference, Aziz, okay?
Yes, sure.
Good night.
Good night.
Noha, can you, before we close, we would like to thank our ambassadors in Tunisia and Morocco and Palestine and in America, USA. And there is we created like a small token of appreciation for every one of them. And we will also would like to thank our guest speakers. I have a picture here.
Wow. Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you so much, Everyone Academy. Thank you.
A little applause for Fatih.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You've earned it, Beck. You wouldn't have no idea.
Thank you. It's very, wow, amazing. You made my day. Thank you.
Rita's certificate, and Dalia is not here. Maybe she has some connectivity issues.
Yeah, this is Rita's.
Hope she's okay.
Dalia's the last one. Dalia was not here, but I think she's
Here is Dalia's.
okay. So the other ones we will send them through email maybe Hassan and other. Okay,
Thank
I
you
have a
for
little.
being here. Thank you for
I have.
being one of this great Everyone Academy family. I can see family. It is not just a team. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So
Thank
before
you
we
too.
close, I would like to thank all those speakers and the ELT experts that we invited. We really learned a lot from all those great educators from America, from England, from the different parts of the world. We had so many sessions on reading, writing, technology integration. So thank you so much for all those great educators and speakers.
More than 50 conferences, more than 50 webinars, and it was excellent, great. Hats off for everyone here. Thank you so much for all our experts.
Yes, thank you. So, no, any final comment before we close? Fatin?
Well, just that I was about Rita's helping students read better and faster. In this webinar, I looking at the physical part of reading was a whole new perspective for me. I've always was concerned about helping students to decipher the letters and the sounds and the phonology and morphology and whatever. But however, and I've never thought of it in on this from this perspective. And this is just one of the things that I learned through all the webinars that we have met in Everyone Academy, and I'd really like to thank you for this. And tonight was really wonderful and full of great ideas that I would like to try. And thank you, Fatin, and thanks for all our speakers.
Thank you,
So
dear.
we also would like to extend our thanks to Nuha. She's really a great educator and teacher, working behind the stage,
Yeah.
preparing the meetings and sometimes the posters if she's not busy. But thank you, Nuha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Noha.
My
Thank you so
pleasure. Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Right.
So let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, and happy holidays filled with love, prosperity, and health.
Thank you,
So
Aziz.
bye bye, Fatin. Bye bye, Noha.
Bye. Good night. Take care of
Thank you.
yourselves.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Fatin.